My girlfriend's little sister has a crush on me, and everyone but me thinks it's cute. I'm so tired of this shit and I want to break up with my girlfriend. My girlfriend and I are in our early 20s and she has a 14-year-old sister who has a crush on me. She's always trying to find a way to help me out, talk to me, tries to be alone with me, wears her better clothes around me, and has been getting into makeup trying to copy her sister's look. I don't think it's cute the way everyone else does. They laugh and humor her and tease her about her crush on me by saying things like, I saw girlfriend's boyfriend today, or is he your boyfriend? It's so gross and uncomfortable. The recent times I've tried getting alone time with my girlfriend at her house were interrupted by her sister pounding on the door asking us what we're doing. Ugh, yeah, that is very weird. It just blows my mind how no one thinks that it's weird and they basically encourage her. She's gotten a slap on the wrist for once trying to unlock her sister's door while we were in there together, but that's it. They all think it's just a funny little crush that'll go away. My girlfriend especially thinks it's so funny because she knows I would never go for a child. No shit, I wouldn't. That's what he says. That's why I say it like that. It doesn't bother her because she's 14. I worry that one day her sister will start spinning fantasies about things we did. I'm in my 20s for fuck's sake. I can't have a lie ruining my life. I've talked to my girlfriend about her sister's behavior and how serious I am multiple times, but she always blows me off. I really love my girlfriend and we've been together for 2 years, but now I want to call it quits. I really wanted to marry her someday too. No one is taking me seriously, and the last thing I ever need is a child saying I came onto them or something like that. I don't even visit the way I used to anymore just to avoid a 14-year-old. That's depressing. My girlfriend doesn't like to come over to my apartment because I have roommates and her house is way nicer, but I won't go over there anymore because of her sister. Just had to vent. Thanks.
I don't know about you guys, she's all over my For You page. She was 14 years old, okay? She kills her mom at home. She texts her friend to come over and then asks her, have you ever seen a dead body? 14 years old. 40-year-old Ashley Smiley. She was a very loved teacher at Northwest Rankin High School in Flowood, Mississippi. Ashley was previously married. She had her daughter, Carly Gregg. She got divorced when Carly was around 4 to 5 years old and eventually remarried a man named Heath Smiley. Ashley lived in a 3-bedroom house with her daughter, Carly Gregg, who was 14 years old again at the time of the crime. Her husband, Heath Smiley, who was now Carly's stepdad, and they had 2 dogs in the house as well. She always had a passion for education and she absolutely excelled at being a teacher, but apart from that, she was also a loving friend, a kind person, and someone who really cared about the people that she loved. Carly, her daughter, was a student at the high school that Ashley taught at, and she has been described as a sweet girl. Her relationship with her mom was okay. Their personalities kind of clashed as Carly was growing up. The older that she got, the more independent that she wanted to be, and she would bicker with her mom about certain things they did not agree on. She began sneaking out, started rebelling a little bit, staying out past curfew, etc. Carly did begin to see a therapist for anxiety and depression that she was struggling with. But other than that, Ashley and Heath kind of thought that Carly's behavior was pretty much just normal teenage behavior. The day of the crime was a Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. Ashley went to work at the high school. Carly attended her classes at the high school. And shortly after 4 p.m., they arrived back at their house together. Ashley had been made aware or had reason to suspect from information that she got from another student that Carly had began smoking and or had been using vapes. As her mom, who was probably worried about her teenage daughter, when they got home, Ashley headed to Carly's room to find evidence to prove her suspicions. She was looking for vapes or any sign that Carly had been smoking. As her mother is in her room, Carly is walking around the house. Also, there is home security footage. They had a camera inside the house, which is why we know specific details of what she did. But she's walking around. She goes into her parents' bedroom. The footage, we see Carly walking by the living room. She kind of takes a peek in the kitchen to make sure that no one is in there, and she's holding an object close to her. It kind of seems like she's hiding it underneath her shirt. We now know that Carly was hiding a weapon. She was holding a in the camera footage, which mind you had sound as well, we see Carly walk over to her bedroom where she met her mom. Seconds later, a loud bang. A shot is heard, followed by screams and then 2 additional loud bangs. Carly had just taken the life of her mother. The footage of it is chilling and gave me goosebumps. Seconds after, Carly walks into the kitchen. She sits down at a bar stool. Mind you, she's acting completely normal. I thought that I heard her humming a little, like she almost started to sing a little bit. It was scary. Anyway, she sits down. She picks up her mom's phone. She texts her stepdad, pretending to be her mother, and says, "When will you be home, honey?" Heath responds to Ashley's phone. He says that he will be done with work around 4:30, but he might be a little late in getting home. Carly then proceeds to text one of her friends, claiming that she needed to come over because there was an emergency. The friend comes over. Carly meets her at the door, and one of the first things that she asks her is, "Have you ever seen a dead body?" She then proceeds to walk her over to her mom's body. Her mom is lifeless. She's lying on the floor. She was lying on her back with her arms over her head and a towel covering her face. As her friend, what the fuck would you be thinking? Because what? Carly Gregg then allegedly turned to her friend and said, quote, "I put 3 in my mom and I have 3 more for my stepdad for her when he gets back home. Keith pulls into the driveway at 5:03 p.m. Remember, this is still a completely normal day for him. He has no idea that anything is wrong, no reason to suspect that his wife is dead on the floor inside the house. Also, my question was, what the heck, where was the friend when Heath got home? It is believed that Carly told her friend to wait outside somewhere because her stepdad was about to be home. We also know now that she took down the security camera inside the house and she hid it in the fridge. As soon as Heath gets home, he parks his car, he makes his way inside, and as soon as he steps foot inside, he opens the door to the kitchen. And before the door can even open all the way, he's met with loud bangs. In court, Heath stated, "When I opened the door to the kitchen, the gun went off in my face before the door was 3 or 4 inches wide open. The gun flashed in my face, it went off 2 more times, but my hand was on the gun after that first shot, and I twisted it from Carly." Carly had just tried to attack her stepdad the same way that she attacked her mother, but luckily she was unsuccessful. Everything happened so fast. Carly ran out of the house, she jumped over a fence through the backyard, and fled the scene as Heath was calling 911. The call is heartbreaking. Heath is yelling. He's saying, "I don't know what happened. My wife is dead. My daughter tried to shoot me." And in the 911 call, the operator says, "Your daughter tried to shoot you. How old is she?" Heath says 14, and the operator goes, 14? Officers are dispatched. They arrive at the house to find Heath hysterical, of course. He had been grazed by a bullet on the side of his neck. He's able to give officers a description of what Carly was wearing, and they're trying to figure out if Carly still has the weapon on her or not. Immediately, there is a search out for Carly along with a helicopter flying overhead trying to find her, and they are able to. Less than 30 minutes after that 911 call was made, Carly Gregg was arrested and taken into custody. Carly Gregg was charged as an adult. She was charged with murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. The tampering and evidence part is from when she took the camera down and hid it in the fridge. She would plead not guilty and she would remain in custody awaiting trial. Now, before the trial happened, around 5 months after the murders, Carly was offered a plea deal of 40 years in prison. However, she turned this down because her and her defense team were going to go to trial and they were going to try their best to get out of this by pursuing an insanity defense. They were going to fight back and say that Carly was insane at the time of the crime, that she didn't know what she was doing, therefore she should not be given the harshest punishment. She killed her mom. The defense's argument was not going to be to try and say that Carly did not do this. It was obvious that Carly did it. She was responsible. There's no question about that. However, they wanted to focus on the why instead of the who. They would argue that Carly was insane, that she was experiencing a mental health crisis. They would claim that Carly was also a victim that day, which I think that's taking it a little bit too far. There is a person that is no longer alive because of the girl. I don't know if I would necessarily call her a victim. I mean, mental health is a serious thing. It can do mess a lot of things up in your head, but I think calling her a victim, I don't know. They were saying that she was not in the right state of mind, she was suffering, and that she did not know what she was doing. Quote from court from the defense, quote, "This was not a bad kid. This was not a kid who was enraged. This is not a kid who had hatred in her heart for her mother or her stepfather. In fact, it was the complete opposite. This was a kid who was experiencing significant mental health issues, and while she was having a state of psychosis in an episode of acute stress on March 19th, she lost herself in what was the perfect storm." Also want to reiterate, about mental health, I know how serious it is. I know that it can blind you and that you can be not yourself at all. It's a serious thing. I'm not trying to say that it's not. Let me just keep going. The prosecution on the other side, they were not buying it. In court, prosecutor Michael Smith stated, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt that Carly Madison Gregg is the one who killed her mom, Ashley Smiley. There is no doubt that she attempted to kill Heath Smiley when she aimed the gun right at his head and shot him and hit him. There's no doubt that she's the one who hit the camera, thus tampering with evidence. We would ask that you go back there and you find her guilty of all three because she was not insane at the time that this happened. She knew exactly what she was doing and she knew the difference between right and wrong." The prosecutor's argument was simple. They said, look, Carly was not the teenage daughter her parents thought that she was. She had been sneaking around behind their backs, disobeying their rules, talking to her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, whoever that she was not supposed to be talking to, vaping, and basically doing whatever she wanted to do. And when her mom started to figure out that Carly was disobeying and not following any rules and finding out what she had really been up to, Carly got really scared or angry or both that her mom would find out the truth, and to avoid that, she ended her life brutally. Dr. Andrew Clark, he is a psychiatrist. He testified in court and he spoke about a few different things. He brought up that when Carly was around 4 years old, she had a little sister that passed away when she was around 18 months old. He said that that really affected Carly as well as asked her parents' divorce, he mentioned that that also had a lasting effect on Carly. Dr. Clark said that despite that, she was a decent girl, a decent student with a history of academic excellence. He testified that as Carly got older, she started showing signs of depression and anxiety and issues with food, as well as having trouble sleeping. And he mentioned that shortly before the murders, Carly was put on a new medication that made her mood swings worse. He also brought up the fact that Carly had claimed to have started to disassociate, hallucinate, and hear voices. A journal of Carly's was also brought up in court, which showed journal entries and a sketchbook of hers with dark themes. One of the things that Carly wrote about in there was a list of 5 things that she believed in. Those include, quote, "There is no God, it's okay to be evil, and you don't need family." On the second day of the trial, Heath, the stepdad, spoke some more. He described how he saw Carly that day. He says, he remembered Carly being a sweet girl, but that day it looked as if, quote, "she had seen a demon or something," end quote. He says, "I have never seen anybody like that, not even in movies. She was not herself, and I do not believe that she even recognized me." After the murders, there was a no contact order between Carly and her stepdad, but then that was lifted, I think because the stepdad asked for it to be removed. When he testified as well, you should look at the videos if you haven't, I couldn't tell what he was feeling. He doesn't look angry. He says that Carly was scared and that she was not herself, and it's common, obviously, that victims of attempted murder would be mad or angry or confused, but on the stand, her stepdad was compassionate and understanding almost. I felt that he was expressing sympathy above anything else. As trial progressed, around the 4th day, the prosecution brought mental health counselors that had previously spoken to Carly to give a different understanding of her mental state. They brought up Dr. Jason Pickett, a forensic psychiatrist. His task was to perform a mental evaluation of Carly by using a legal standard test of insanity. He did say that she expressed concerning behaviors, but at the end he stated, quote, "My opinion is that Carly does not meet Mississippi standard for insanity at the time of the offense, and that she knew the nature, quality, and wrongfulness of her actions during that day," end quote. Licensed professional counselor Rebecca Kirk testified. She had met with Carly 9 times before the crime, and she said in previous conversations with Carly, she did mention having intrusive and disruptive thoughts, but in her conversations with her, she had denied hallucinations, delusions, and or hearing voices. Rebecca on the stand was asked, "Rebecca, as a therapist, how many people do you see that have complaints of depression and anxiety?" Rebecca answers and she says almost every single one of them. The follow-up question is how many of them have gone on to kill their mom, which to Rebecca responds and she says, "Before this, none." Because it's not a normal thing. Yeah, anxiety and depression, a lot of people have that. But killing their mom, that it's not in the same group of like, oh, this is normal, people just do this, like they can't control what they were doing, so they just kill people. No. When the trial ended, the jury deliberated only for a little bit over an hour, and they found Carly Gregg guilty on all charges. She was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I don't know what to think. Do I think she was insane? I don't know, I guess. Like, I would have to talk to Carly myself. Do I think that what she did was wrong and she should be held responsible for it? Absolutely, 100%. I feel like that shouldn't be a question. If you end someone's life, there are consequences for that. You can't just go around doing that. Really sad, really tragic. Also crazy that she was so young. It always is even more shocking when someone's so young, and especially when it's a family member. That's a whole nother thing.
My boyfriend lied to me about where he was all night, and now he refuses to tell me the truth. A few nights ago, my boyfriend asked me if he could borrow my car to go drive to see his brother who lives about 100 miles away. Now, he has his own car, but my car is a lot more reliable than his, and it's definitely safer for him to take mine for that 100 miles, so being the wonderful, generous girlfriend I am, I agreed. Before he left, I checked the odometer to see how many miles were on my car. Okay, I am not crazy before y'all start coming for me. The reason I checked is because I know that my car is scheduled to need an oil change soon, and my boyfriend was going to be having to drive 200 miles, 100 to his brother's and 100 back. So I was being responsible. I wanted to make sure that he could drive 200 miles before my car was scheduled for an oil change. Okay, so don't come at me. I'm not crazy. I'm a responsible girly. So I check the odometer. I see that he is good to go. I go inside and I tell him, babe, great news. You can take my car, okay, my car that I pay for, to go drive and see your brother. Have a great time. Love you. Now, my only request, my only one, when he borrows my car, is text me when you make it there safely, because I worry and I care about his safety. Now, normally it takes around 2 hours for him to get to his brother's house, and that 2 hours comes and goes, and I'm a little nervous, but again, I'm like, maybe he forgot. So I text him and I'm just like, hey, did you make it? No response. 3 hours comes, 4 hours comes. 4.5 hours, finally I get a text. Hey babe, sorry, I made it. Just letting you know. Then I don't hear from the man for the rest of the night, which again is a little annoying, but he's with his brother. I don't want to be crazy. It's fine. I'm doing my thing. He's doing his thing. Whatever. He does not get back until super late in the afternoon the next day, which was very annoying because, again, like I said, his car is very unreliable and I do not feel safe driving that thing. So I wanted to go grocery shopping, but I had to wait until he was back with my car. So he gets back at around 5:30, 6 p.m., even though he said he was going to be back early in the afternoon. I get in my car, I look at the odometer, and I notice that it says he had driven less than 100 miles. Less than 100 miles. Again, it was one way 100 miles to his brother's house. So the odometer should have added an extra 200-ish miles. Why are we sitting at around 33? And I no longer need groceries, okay? I need answers. So I immediately go right back into the house and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Where did you go last night? And he's acting dumb. He's just like, what are you talking about? I went to my brother's house. And I was like, not according to my odometer, you didn't. And he has the nerve to be like, well, maybe your odometer is just not working. But that's not how that works, okay? My odometer is fine. My odometer is fine. Do not try to gaslight me, sir. So I asked him, I'm like, let me see your receipts for gas. I want to see where you got gas on your way there. He refuses to show me. He's like, I cannot believe you don't trust me. You're acting absolutely crazy right now. Do you hear yourself? And storms out of the house. Later that night, my boyfriend calls me and tells me that he did lie about where he was. I'm thinking, okay, I'm finally going to get some answers. But this man has the nerve to lie to me again. And he tells me that he went downtown and went out with his guy friends last night, and then he just slept in the car. He would have absolutely no reason to lie about going downtown with his friends because he does that all the time, and I've never had a problem with it. I'm not a controlling, jealous girlfriend. Like, anytime he wants to have a guy's night with his friends, whatever, go have fun. So there's no reason he would ever lie about it. Also, if he went downtown, he would have just called an Uber or a Lyft or something. He wouldn't have taken my car. He's never done that in the past, so it just makes no sense. The story is not adding up, sir. He is out here testing my intelligence. Also, he didn't come home until 6 p.m. Like, what? That sleep in my car downtown was so restful that it caused you to sleep till 6 p.m.? I don't think so, buddy. I just hang up on him because this man obviously thinks I'm an idiot if I'm going to believe this story. And an hour later, he comes to my front door and he's, again, just trying to say, no, I went downtown with the guys and then I slept in the car. Like, baby. I sit him down. I say, let me walk you through this. You leave. You don't text me for 4.5 hours. Then you don't get home until 6 p.m. the next night. It's been like 16 hours. You were gone for like 16 hours. And somehow you only drove about 30 miles. Like, make that make sense. Where were you? Because you weren't just chilling in my car for 16 hours. But he is sticking to this story. Like, this man, I'm pretty sure at this point, he's convinced himself that this is true because he is doubling down like I have never seen before. So I decided I'm going to play into it. I'm like, okay, this is true. Who are you with? Where are the receipts for your drinks? Tell me. And he was like, you know, they were new friends. I don't have their phone number. You don't have their phone number? What do you mean you don't have your... How did you make plans to hang out with them if you have no way to contact them? Oh, and even though you have no way to contact these friends, they are such good friends that they bought every single one of your drinks. So you don't even have any proof that you went out. I told him, I'm just going to tell it exactly like it is. You took my car to go and cheat on me. My car to go and cheat on me. I told him the worst part about this whole thing isn't even the fact that he cheated on me, is that he thought I was stupid enough to believe this horribly planned out lie. I kicked this man out of my house, but he has been calling me and texting me nonstop, saying that he's not lying, that he really was with his friends that night. I don't believe him, but I want to figure out how to get to the bottom of where he really was that night with my car.
So that's Zan, and she found out that her girlfriend of 4 years was sleeping with her biological father and her twin brothers. So Zan and her girlfriend started dating their junior year of high school, and as they got closer, her girlfriend started opening up more and more about how everything was growing up. And she told her that her parents got divorced when she was about 10 years old, and her father ended up cheating on her mother and getting another woman pregnant and moving in with that woman. And so she wasn't really close with the father, but then about 4 months into the relationship, she noticed that her girlfriend went from hanging out about 3 to 4 times a month at her dad's house to hanging out there about 10 to 15 times a month. And she's like, what is going on? So she didn't really expect anything weird to be happening, because she's like, that's her blood, that's her dad. Everybody at some point wants to have a close relationship with their parents. The girlfriend finally takes Zan over there to meet her father, and she meets the father, the stepmother that's pregnant, and then the twin brothers. She thinks they're cool, she thinks everything's fine, and then she kind of peeps the dad, though, has kind of like a wandering eye like towards children, and she's like a little uncomfortable. So she tells her girlfriend, like, you know what, I do know what you're talking about when you're telling me about your childhood. Like, your dad is a little bit weird. And this is the first time ever her girlfriend gets so defensive, and she's like, don't be talking about my daddy like that. Like, basically told her, like, back up. So one day they're hanging out in her girlfriend's bedroom, and her mother walks in and hands her like a bag. The girlfriend opens up the bag, looks at it, looks at her girlfriend, and then throws the bag to the side. And her girlfriend's nosy, so she's like, hey, what's in the bag? And she's like, oh, nothing, just some condoms that I got from health class. So she's like, I want to see them, let me look at them. So she hands her the condoms, and they're like ginormous. Like, she like used hand motions, they're huge, right? And is like, I got the same exact bag from health class. Like, why are mine's not this size? She's like trying to figure out why her condom sizes are so huge. So the girl's like, I don't know why you're asking me all these questions. Like, you got the same bag in class. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But she's still thinking in the back of her mind, like, that's really weird, right? So they get back to school, and Zan notices that her girlfriend is getting really close to one of the girls that they used to be really cool mutual friends with before they got together and got in a relationship. So she's like, why is she being cool with her? And so she kind of just like peeps game. And so at this point, she's like fully curious. Between her spending more time at her dad's house, her being friends with this girl, she's like, I need to do some digging. So she goes through her girlfriend's phone and notices that the very first message is like that girl that they used to be friends with and her girlfriend having a conversation. And the very first thing she sees is like a pregnancy test, and the girl's name is Kay. Kay is like, oh my god, girl, you're pregnant. And the ex-girlfriend is like, yeah. She's like, who's the baby daddy? Who's the baby daddy? She's like, I don't know, girl, but I need to get rid of it. So at this point, the girlfriend is like laughing. Zan is just like, what in the world? She's laughing, right? So then she starts scrolling, she's going deep diving at this point, right? And she sees that Kay said something along the lines of like, damn, we're too young to be having a train, you're bold. So then the girlfriend responds and says, girl, that was 2 Mondays ago, like, get over it. And so at this point, Zan is sitting there like, well, 2 Mondays ago, you were at your dad's house all day long. So how did you have a train when you were at your dad's house? Like, I'm very confused, right? So at this point, she's like, I don't want to find out anything else. I'm going to put this phone down. I'm just going to talk to Kay when I go to school tomorrow. So she gets to school and she's like, hey, how is it that you knew about all of this? Me and you were friends. I thought we were cool. Why didn't you tell me about this? And the girl's immediately like, Zan tells her, like, you're mad weird for being friends with me and knowing all of this is happening behind my back and not letting me know. And the girl, Kay, is just like, I don't know. She like literally is in shock, right? Zan tells her, I'm going to find out everything anyway. You might as well just tell me. So Kay starts spilling the beans, and she's like, a year into your relationship, she started cheating on you. Zan cuts her off, and she's like, okay, who is it? Like, who is this person? Like, do I know them? Do they go to our school? Like, who is this person? And she's like, yeah, you know this person. She's like, but it's not one person, it's 3 people. And so at this point, Zan is very confused. She's like, so she's been cheating on me with 3 people? And Kay's like, yeah, and you know these 3 people because they're all related. And at that point, it clicked inside of Zay's head, and she knew exactly what she was talking about. She was like, wow, they're all related. At this point, Zan is sick to her stomach, and she's looking at Kay like, how long has this been going on for? She's like, 2 years with the brothers, but only 6 months with her father. And she's like, well, does the stepmom know? Because I feel weird energy every time I go over there. She's like, well, the stepmom doesn't know about the father being involved, but she does know about her sons, doing their thing with the daughter. And so Zan is sitting there like, so you have a problem with your husband being involved with his biological daughter, but you don't have anything wrong with your 13-year-old sons being with an 18-year-old woman? Like, just actually mind blown at this point. She's sick to her stomach, and at that very moment, the ex-girlfriend walks up to Kay and to Zan having that conversation. Kay and Zan both look at the ex-girlfriend, and the ex-girlfriend immediately knew what was going on. She just started beating up and fighting Kay immediately, just pounced on top of her. So they finally pull them apart, right? And they're yelling at each other. They're going back and forth. And Zan is like just standing there like, what the hell? And then Kay is standing there saying like, yeah, you brother fucker. Yeah, you like, you be getting with your dad. And then the ex-girlfriend turns around and goes, I know you're not talking when the whole time you're sleeping with your own father. The whole time this girl Kay was sleeping with her father as well, and that's what they were bonding over. That at that point, Zan is just jaw on the ground like, oh, that's what you guys were bonding over? The fact that you guys are both doing this with your own biological fathers? Oh, I have nothing to say. She, at that point, just walked away and just, like, closed the chapter. Everybody was asking Zay if the ex-girlfriend's mother handed her the bag of condoms because she knew that she was doing that at the father's house. But according to Zay, the mother never knew. She handed them those because she was trying to see what reaction the ex-girlfriend would have if she handed her a bag of condoms in front of her girlfriend and sees, like, what type of, you know, like, conversation she can drum up, because she obviously wasn't getting any information about why she had the condoms, besides the fact that she was telling her that she got them from health class. So the mother didn't know. The stepmother knew about the son. When Zan found out, she closed that chapter, walked away.
Am I the asshole because I went on my honeymoon without my brand new wife since she had to take care of her sister? I just got married. My wife, Tanya, basically raised her sister Marie after their mom passed away. Even after their dad remarried, Tanya and her sister were more mom-daughter than sisters. Marie got married last year and she got pregnant right away. No, not before. They figured they got pregnant on their honeymoon. Marie went into premature labor at our wedding reception. She gave birth to a tiny but healthy baby girl, and for some reason, Tanya decided that she needed to go and take care of her. We were supposed to leave for our honeymoon 2 days after our wedding, but Tanya said she just couldn't leave. She isn't a doctor or a nurse. Marie has a dad, a stepmom, a husband, a mother and father-in-law. I don't understand why she had to go. But we had a non-refundable ticket, and insurance didn't cover, quote, I have to stay and take care of my sister as part of the coverage. Plus, I had booked 2 weeks off for my wedding and honeymoon. So since I was going to be home by myself doing nothing while my wife was in another city doing whatever, I went on the honeymoon by myself. I got a massive bed all to myself. I used all of the resort credits that were for a couple's massage, romantic excursions, and special meals on deep sea fishing and a dune buggy tour of the island. I just got back and my wife is still with her sister, but she is upset that I went on our honeymoon by myself. Was I supposed to let the money go to waste? Was I supposed to sit at home playing Diablo while I waited for her to be done? We are fighting about it. My friends all agree that I would have been dumb to waste the money and my time off. Her friends think I was a dick to go enjoy myself while she was taking care of her sister and a new baby. I will add that there was no place for me to stay at Marie's house. Tanya is sleeping in the nursery since the baby is still in the NICU. So, am I the asshole? The update. The baby, Emily, is home and healthy, just tiny. My sister-in-law kicked my wife out the day the baby came home. Tanya wouldn't let her do anything. Marie told her that she has plenty of help. Tanya said she didn't mind sticking around. Marie told her that her and her husband did have a problem with it. Marie also told all of her relatives that if Tanya was staying with them, they weren't allowed over until she left. Tanya asked if I would mind if she rented an Airbnb so she could stay nearby. I said I would prefer if she came home. We had an argument. I said that we should just not actually get married if this was going to be my life.
Oh.
Tanya came home to fight face to face. We had the fancy wedding and reception in Iowa for her family. We were going to get officially married in Colorado after we got back from the honeymoon. She wants to know why I'm having second thoughts. I showed her the original post and how almost 50% of the comments were calling for an annulment. I said we are both young and can walk away without losing much. All the gifts are in her dad's garage and they are easy enough to return. I said that there was no way I was going to put up with being the third wheel in our marriage. She has agreed to start going to counseling, and we are going to hold off on getting the paperwork settled for 1 year to give her the chance to decide what she wants. If she says that her sister comes first after 1 year, then I'm out. That's all. No more drama. Thanks for everyone who told me where I stood. I love Tanya, but I love myself too. Everyone who said I was an asshole for not understanding why she needed to be there can suck it.
Am I in the wrong for telling my sister I don't want her to attend my school events anymore? I, 15 male, was raised by my sister, 30 female, and her husband, 32 male, after our parents lost custody of me when I was 5. They've done a lot for me, and I appreciate it, but now that I'm getting older, things are starting to feel a bit awkward. My sister and her husband have 3 kids of their own, a 10-year-old son, a 7-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old daughter, and they've always treated me like I'm one of their own. Recently, I made the varsity football team, which was a huge deal for me. I've been working really hard, and I was excited for my first game. My sister and her husband came to support me, which I was fine with at first. They brought the whole family, and while I didn't mind them being there, it just felt a little off when they cheered for me like I was their son. My sister kept calling out my name from the stands, and afterward, she introduced me to some of the other parents, talking about how proud she was of her boy. It wasn't super embarrassing, but it just felt weird. I don't really want to be seen as their kid all the time, especially in front of my teammates and friends. I know they're just trying to support me, but I feel like I'm at an age where I want to be a bit more independent. After the game, I told my sister that I appreciate everything that she does, but I'd rather go to my school events on my own from now on. I tried to explain that it wasn't about them doing anything wrong. I just wanted some space to be myself without feeling like I'm being watched or treated like a little kid. She didn't take it well. She seemed hurt and sad that she's been there for me my whole life, so why wouldn't I want her support now? Her husband agreed and said that family is always supposed to show up for each other. I understand where they're coming from, but I feel like I'm just trying to grow up and have my own life. Now things are kind of awkward at home. My sister isn't mad, but she's definitely distant, and her husband told me that I should apologize for making her feel bad. So, am I in the wrong?